Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something really fascinating. It's this collision of cutting-edge AI, artificial intelligence, and, the very essence of what makes us human.
Our culture.
Exactly, our culture, but specifically our intangible cultural heritage.
Right. All those living traditions, the stories we tell, the music we make, the rituals that bind us.
Yeah. And not just those, but also think about the ways we understand nature, the universe, those practices passed down generation to generation, and even the skills behind traditional crafts.
It really is the living, breathing heart of culture, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But that's what makes it so tricky, right? I mean, we can preserve a painting, restore an old building, but how do you safeguard a song, a dance, or a dying language?
That's the question, isn't it? How do you hold on to something so fluid, so connected to people and communities?
And that's precisely what we're exploring today. How is AI, this tech that seems to be everywhere, how is it being used to protect and share these fragile, these vital cultural expressions for future generations? We've been digging into a whole range of sources, everything from the nitty-gritty of AI applications to the role of UNESCO, looking at the latest tech, and most importantly, those real-world success stories.
Those are key, those concrete examples of how this is actually working.
Right. So our mission, if you will, is to give you a clear, insightful look at this whole complex field.
And hopefully a few aha moments along the way.
Absolutely. But, before we get too deep into the AI side of things, I think it's worth pausing for a moment and really emphasizing why preserving intangible cultural heritage is such a unique challenge. I mean, as we've said, these aren't static objects, right?
Exactly. They're dynamic. They evolve with each generation, with each individual even.
So a folktale told by one person might be slightly different when someone else tells it, and that's okay. That's part of the beauty.
It is. But, that fluidity makes it incredibly difficult to document, to capture in a way that feels true to its essence.
Right, and that's where AI comes in, doesn't it? A whole new set of tools for tackling this challenge.
It does. I mean, think about it. How do you even begin to capture something like an oral tradition or a dance performance and make it, well, digital?
It seems almost impossible. Like, where do you even start?
Well, that's where AI technologies, things like machine learning and those advanced digital tools become so valuable. Imagine you have a really old recording, maybe of a language that's barely spoken anymore. It's on a fragile wax cylinder full of noise and static.
Those are pretty much unlistenable, aren't they?
They often are, but AI algorithms can actually analyze that recording, clean up the noise, maybe even sharpen up the sounds. It's like rescuing a voice from the past.
Wow. And I guess it's not just audio, right? This applies to images and video, too.
Absolutely. Think about faded photographs of a community gathering or a ceremony. AI can help restore those images, bring back details that were lost over time. It's really remarkable.
It is. It's almost like, giving those moments a second life.
Exactly. And it goes even further than just restoration. AI can actually help us organize and make sense of all this information. Think about adding metadata to a digital file.
So things like what language is being spoken, who the speaker is, maybe the historical context.
Precisely. AI tools can automate a lot of that process, which would take humans forever to do manually. And that makes those archives much more searchable, much more useful for researchers and anyone who wants to learn about those traditions.
So it's not just about preserving, it's about making those treasures accessible.
Right. It's about sharing them with the world.
Okay, so we've got AI helping us document and understand these traditions, but we also have things like virtual reality and augmented reality coming into play. How does AI enhance the experience of intangible heritage through those immersive technologies?
Oh, that's where things get really exciting. Think about putting on a VR headset and suddenly you're part of a festival that hasn't been celebrated in 100 years, or you're learning a traditional craft with a virtual master artisan guiding you every step of the way.
Whoa. Talk about a hands-on history lesson.
Right. And AI is crucial for making that experience truly immersive. It helps create realistic virtual environments. It can track your movements, even adjust the experience based on what you do.
It's like stepping into another world.
Exactly. And with AR, imagine you're standing in, say, an ancient marketplace. You point your phone at a specific spot, and suddenly you see an augmented reality overlay showing a traditional ceremony that used to take place right there.
Wow. Like bringing the past to life right in front of you.
Exactly. And it's AI that makes it all possible by blending those digital elements with the real world.
Incredible. So we're seeing AI help us to see and experience these traditions, but what about understanding them on a deeper level? Can AI help us analyze and really dig into the complexities of cultural heritage?
Absolutely. Think about it. Machine learning algorithms, they're amazing at processing huge amounts of data.
Hmm.
So they can sift through, say, mountains of texts, myths, legends, historical records, even contemporary social media posts related to a certain tradition.
So it's like having a superpowered research assistant, right?
Right. And it can find patterns, connections, things that a human researcher might miss just because of the sheer volume of information.
So it can uncover those hidden narratives, the subtle links between different aspects of culture.
Exactly. Imagine AI analyzing centuries worth of folk songs from different cultures and discovering a shared melodic structure that points to a much older, common musical ancestor. That's the kind of insight that can reshape our understanding of history and cultural exchange.
Fascinating. It's like piecing together a giant, complex puzzle. Now, we've talked about access a bit, but I'd love to dig into that a little more. How is AI breaking down barriers for people who might face challenges in experiencing and understanding cultural heritage?
This is such an important area. Think about language, for instance. AI-powered translation software can instantly translate spoken languages in audio and video recordings, even live. That opens up a whole world of oral traditions and cultural expressions to people who don't speak those languages.
Right. It could even help to revitalize endangered languages, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And for people with disabilities, AI can be a real game changer. Imagine AI generating audio descriptions of visual content so someone who's visually impaired can fully appreciate a dance performance or a traditional craft demonstration.
That would be amazing.
It is. And the same goes for people with hearing impairments. Real-time transcription and closed captions powered by AI make all sorts of audio and video content accessible to them.
So AI is not just about preserving the past. It's about making sure everyone can access and participate in that cultural legacy.
Exactly. It's about inclusivity and ensuring that no one is left out.
Now, we can't talk about this topic without mentioning UNESCO. What role do they play in this whole effort to safeguard intangible cultural heritage?
Oh, UNESCO is absolutely central to this. Back in 2003, they adopted the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage. And that was a really big deal. It was the first time there was a global agreement recognizing that cultural heritage isn't just about physical objects, it's about these living traditions and practices too.
Right. It really shifted the focus to those less tangible aspects of culture.
It did, and the convention outlines all the different domains of intangible cultural heritage. Oral traditions, performing arts, rituals, festive events, knowledge about nature and the universe, and the skills involved in traditional crafts. It's really quite comprehensive.
So they're setting the standards, the guidelines for how we approach protecting these things.
Exactly. And they also encourage countries to document and preserve their own intangible cultural heritage. They've created these amazing resources like the lists of intangible cultural heritage and the Register of Good Safeguarding Practices, which help to raise awareness and share successful preservation strategies.
And a lot of countries have signed on to this, right?
A lot. 178 countries have ratified the convention, which shows just how much global support there is for this work.
That's really encouraging. And it sounds like UNESCO isn't shying away from new technologies like AI either.
Oh, absolutely not. They recognize that in our increasingly digital world, these tools are essential for both preservation and access. In fact, they've published a guide called Digitizing Intangible Cultural Heritage, a how-to guide, which shows they're actively exploring how to leverage AI and digital platforms in this effort.
Wow, that's impressive. It sounds like they're really embracing the future.
They are, and they're encouraging collaboration between different countries to make sure everyone benefits from these advances.
Fantastic. So we've talked a lot about the possibilities, but I'd love to get into some real-world examples. Where are we seeing AI actually make a difference in preserving intangible cultural heritage on the ground?
Oh, there are so many great examples popping up. Let's start with AI-aided digitization and restoration, which we talked about earlier. We're seeing that being used to reconstruct damaged historical documents, audio recordings, even architectural blueprints. That not only preserves these invaluable resources, it makes them accessible to a global audience, which can be a real boost for cultural tourism and education.
Right, because a lot of people might not even know these things exist if they can't access them easily.
Exactly. And then there's the preservation of architectural heritage. Think about the Great Wall of China. It's enormous, and parts of it are in really remote, hard-to-reach locations.
It must be a nightmare to try and maintain.
It is. But there's a fantastic project where Intel is working with the China Foundation for Cultural Heritage Conservation to use AI-powered drones to survey the wall. The drones can identify areas that need repair much faster and more efficiently than human inspectors could.
Wow, that's brilliant. Technology really coming to the rescue there. And I also read about something amazing happening at Pompeii.
Oh yes, the repair project. They're using robots, 3D scanning, machine learning, and AI to help with the incredibly painstaking process of reconstructing the ruins. It's helping archaeologists to work much faster and get a more accurate picture of what the city looked like before the eruption of Vesuvius.
That's just incredible. So AI isn't just about preserving the past, it's also helping us to rediscover and understand it in new ways.
Exactly. And let's not forget about virtual and augmented reality, which can transport people to historical sites and immerse them in traditional practices in a way that was never possible before.
And with AI-powered recommendation systems, those experiences can be tailored to individual interests, making them even more engaging.
Absolutely. It's like having a personalized cultural guide right there with you.
And lastly, I know we touched on this before, but it's worth emphasizing again. The role of AI in preserving things like oral traditions, endangered languages, and traditional knowledge systems.
Yes, AI and language processing technologies are being used to create digital archives of these fragile expressions, to develop language learning tools, and even to generate synthetic speech in languages that are on the verge of disappearing. It's really about giving them a new lease on life in the digital world.
It's incredible to see how much potential there is here. So, to wrap things up, it's clear that AI is already transforming the way we preserve and interact with intangible cultural heritage.
It's revolutionizing everything from digitization and accessibility to analysis and immersive experiences.
And UNESCO is playing a crucial role in guiding this process and making sure it happens in a responsible and ethical way.
Absolutely.
But, as with any powerful technology, there are important questions to consider. As AI becomes more integrated into this field, we need to think carefully about the balance between technological innovation and cultural authenticity.
That's a great point. We need to make sure that AI is being used to enhance and respect cultural heritage, not to homogenize it or erase its unique qualities.
Exactly. And that's something for all of us to think about, not just the experts. As we embrace these new technologies, what responsibility do we have to ensure their use to celebrate and preserve the richness and diversity of human culture? What are those intangible aspects of our own lives that we want to safeguard for future generations? These are the questions we need to keep asking as we move forward.
Absolutely. It's a conversation that we all need to be part of.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.